What went wrong with your last partner? Story 1. She went back with her ex, but forgot to break up with me. Story 2. She lived 1,800 miles away. When we first got together, she mentioned moving back to my city in a few months. I thought that meant like 6. She thought it meant 27. Once the timeline disparity became clear, I told her I wasn't sure it was gonna work, since I need a partner I get to see in person more than once or twice a year. She said she'd be okay with it if I went out and got my needs met as long as she didn't have to hear about it. But I declined. I didn't want that kind of relationship. Good news is, the very next date I went on became my wife. Story 3. We got to a point where we either had to get more serious or had to end, and he wasn't ready to get more serious. Still sad, but getting through it. We were exclusive for about 4 months and had been seeing each other more casually for about 6 months before that. But we didn't get to the phase of really integrating each other into our existing lives. It was like our relationship lived in its own little bubble. Our bubble was great, but I was ready to pop it and he wasn't. He is also super focused on work right now, and I don't think he's in the place to give anything outside of work his full attention. It was tough because I know we had a great connection but just couldn't get there at the time. I related it to buying a house. I found a house in my neighborhood that I loved, him in this case, but it wasn't for sale. Maybe someday it'll be for sale and I'll still be looking for a house and that house will still have what I want. But if it never goes for sale, I can't just wait around. Story 4. I read partner as printer and thought, don't even get me started. As for the last partner, the final straw was during SXY time. He started talking about bestiality. Story 5. He cheated on me for all 6 years we were together, then accused me of cheating on him even though I wasn't allowed to leave the house. I'm also pretty sure he slept with my sister-in-law when my brother and I went to pick up dinner. Story 6. She cheated on me after 5 years total together, the last one of which was engaged. Cheated on me for months, all while I'm planning the wedding, working part-time and going to graduate school so I can support us comfortably in the future. I planned on giving her everything I could and sharing the rest of my life with her, and apparently she didn't care. Story 7. I started drinking again, became a miserable asshole due to my own depression and my shitty job. As such, she didn't get the attention she deserved, and had to put up with my shitty mood all the time, so she left. I don't blame her. So, it was me. I don't know if I trust myself with a relationship again, but aside from the shame of knowing I hurt someone who I loved, and loved me back, but I was too self-absorbed and selfish, I am trying to be a better human to everyone. And to my ex, you'll find someone again, someone better. Story 8. He was and still is no father to his kids, has anger issues and probably other mental health issues. I tried for years to help him and help the relationship, but he wasn't having it. After seeing how my oldest suffered under him, I had to leave. Story 9. My last boyfriend dumped me because I got mad that he was coming to Dallas after I hadn't seen him for 2 months, but didn't want to see me. He was going to meet up with some friends of his he hadn't seen in a few months. I told him that was fine with me, but I felt he should make time to see me too since we hadn't seen each other in 2 months and we were supposed to be a couple. He responded to my anger by ghosting me. That was 2 years ago. Story 10. I communicated how I felt about many things in the relationship. He never communicated about anything. If you made it this far, please consider pressing the subscribe and like button. Now continue to the video. Story 11. He wasn't over his ex. Still isn't. No matter what we did together, how much time he spent glued to my hip, how many new restaurants and cities and countries we've been to, he would always find a way to link the experience back to her. After 1.5 years together, we're breaking up on Sunday, he doesn't know it yet. Wish me luck. Story 12. I caught her cheating with Jeff. Then when I gave her a second chance, I know, she kept texting Jeff. Story 13. We just broke up last weekend after being together for 13 years. We fell out of love, and our personalities had grown apart. She was a hard person. Clinical and objective. I'm softer and more emotional. We also suffered from extremely bad communication, and on top of that, our sex life deteriorated over the years. We're still young and deserve to be happy. Just not together, I guess. Story 14. At the time I thought the relationship was great. We had good communication, we had good routine, love, and trust. Over time I got complacent. Wasn't as romantic as I used to be, wasn't as spontaneous as I used to be. We've overcome a lot together, so I thought we could finally nest for a bit. We moved in together, got a dog together, we really were gonna go all the way. I lost some muscle, gained some fat, decided to work less hard so I could chill even harder. She decided she wasn't attracted to me anymore and decided to end the relationship. That she was young and needed to experience more of life before settling down. That I wasn't what she wanted or needed. I don't really know at what point she decided I was no longer the man she fell in love with, but that brought on feelings of inadequacy in me and I started putting up walls. Relationships are a two-way street, and I wish she had communicated her needs to me more. But as the rose-colored glasses came off I realized she was really selfish throughout the relationship. I started to realize the little moments in life where she just didn't give a damn about other people. Little things like not holding doors open for other people, never going out of her way to do anything for anyone really, including me. She's not a bad person, and I don't hate her for making me feel the way she did, or for treating me like shit at the end. Such is life. Now I get to be with our dog 24/7, at least and I hope her life is all that she wanted it to be, and I hope mine can be as well. It's a journey, brothers, we will all make it through. Story 15. Told me she wasn't ready for a relationship. A few days pass and she tells me she has a new boyfriend, and tells me she doesn't give a shit that I felt hurt. She's one of many reasons why I don't date anymore. Story 16. She was mentally, verbally, and emotionally abusive. Narcissistic, manipulative. We were married for 13 years. We got kicked out of our apartment and she moved 1,200 miles away to stay with her parents while I was homeless. We agreed to see other people, her idea, and the first guy she dated got her hooked on meth. She stole from her parents and extorted me for money in order to fuel her meth habit. Her parents kicked her out and got a restraining order, I got a restraining order and eventually a divorce. Last I heard she lost over 100 pounds, and had to have part of her leg or foot amputated either because she got an infection from shooting up in between her toes or because she let her diabetes go unchecked in favor of drugs. Story 17. He wanted a big family, like 6 kids, all natural. Obviously, he wouldn't be birthing them. This was very important to him while I was pretty ambivalent about kids, and the further into my adulthood I've gotten, the more I've realized I just don't want to be pregnant. I broke it off so we could both get the lives we wanted. He was also quite a bit more conservative than me, and at the time closeted pansexual person, and some stuff he believed just didn't line up with what I believed. It hurt, but it was amicable. Now he has a wife and kids like he wanted, and I am happily partnered and child-free. It worked out for the best. Story 18. She couldn't resist going back to bucking fat gross old men for money, because it worked out so well for her in the past. Vegas, baby. Story 19. Way too much to mention, but mainly negativity. I met her and mistakenly passed over some big red flags because I wanted her to be the one. But my gut don't lie. Story 20. Terrible, miserable person. Constantly threatened to end their own life and I felt like I couldn't leave because I, incorrectly, felt like I'd be responsible for it if I left and they went through with it. 6 years later and they're still alive, go figure. Story 21. We were both extra mentally ill at the time. She needed space, I needed quality time and cuddling. It was just time for us to break up. We both worked on our issues and became friends again later. We were always better friends than when we were dating. Story 22. He relapsed on meth and heroin. Also stopped taking his psych meds. I did literally everything I could, but it didn't help. Divorced for almost a year now. He said he was leaving for rehab a few days ago and would call right before checking in, but he ghosted me. I'm terrified I'm gonna get the call saying he overdosed and died. Story 23. He cheated, and when we fell apart he then stopped talking to our child because he didn't want to financially support her or legally claim her. I gave him options, one of them including no child support and just at least seeing her every once in a while, and I have not seen him since. Story 24. She had unresolved issues, serious ones. I'm talking about abusive boyfriends. We had a fun time, for about a month, but her walls were too thick, and she knew, and left me because she didn't want to risk it again. Story 25. I didn't have the maturity yet to take the next step of the official BF/GF, dealing with each other's families, dating, etc. I now have a new GF, future fiancé that I'm with, where I'm able to be the man I should have been. I love my new one, but the mind does wander to what could have been, which is unfortunate. Story 26. She was ready to get out of our small mountain town. I kept pushing it to the back burner because I was hiding some possible health issues that I didn't want to saddle her with, so she broke up with me and went alone. I still regret it every day. Story 27. Much to mention, and he would say I am to blame. He ended the relationship because I was a little disappointed that my name in his phone was just my name. I never thought it was that serious, but on top of him being secretive, hiding me from family, hiding me from friends, refusing to say I love you over the phone when he was in public, not being intimate with me, not giving me any kinds of attention. Any times we spent together were shared with him playing video games. Found joy in making me cry. Would scream at me until I was unresponsive and shaking. I have CPTSD. Threatened to hit and kill me. Yeah, suffice it to say, it's his fault. I'll love him forever, because deep down I know he is just a small child who was abused and abandoned, just like myself, but I will never forgive him for the pain he put me through. He has to earn that kind of forgiveness, and I can't even imagine how he will do that. Story 28. My mental health. Feelings of never being good enough, so I felt that I should end us, to make the pain end. For a long time I would rethink it all and have to stop myself from sending some form of apology for not handling it the way I wish I should have. Maybe one day I'll bump into her somewhere, and I'll finally be able to explain why. In the words from a Juice WRLD song I've recently found, that sums my feelings perfectly and hurts, but in a good way, not scared to love, just scared of love. It's been about 5 years since then, and I am still worried that I'm not good enough, or I'm just going to hurt someone else in the same way I was hurting myself mentally back then. It was horrible, and I didn't open up to the only person I could have that probably would have helped me. Just writing this feels like it's helped a bit, so thank you. It's not a funny answer, but it's mine.